Hey there everybody, and welcome back to another lesson on percents. Today our I can statement is, I can compute tax, tip, and commission problems. And we're going to talk about what those three words mean. So what are taxes? Taxes are a percent of what you make or what you spend that goes to the government. All right, and okay, those were taxes. What about tips? Tips are a percent that you choose to pay to someone for the service they provide. So the most normal common place you see tips would be in a restaurant, like when your server brings you food, you tip them, especially if they do a good job. Other places you might give tips are like when you get a haircut, things like that. Now what about commissions? Commissions are a percentage that you make based on how much you sell. So like if it's your job to sell cars, or sometimes selling clothing, or selling software, you would be making a percentage based on how much of that product you're selling. All right, so all of the above items are usually determined using a percent. Yes. So this is a super practical application of the percents. This is the kind of thing that you're going to be seeing in your day-to-day life all the time. So it's really super helpful. Just like any percent problem, there are several ways to solve them, but we're going to solve them using, guess what? An equation. In each scenario below, we need to make sure we show our work and thinking. All right, so we need to be writing out what we're multiplying, what we're setting it equal to, just so that we're writing out exactly what we're thinking so we can see it all structured and how it works together. Okay, so remember, all percent problems can be turned into the following sentence. So some number is blank percent of another number. So something is some percent of something else. Let's look at some examples. Example 1. Your older sister just turned 16 and has been saving money to buy a car. She looked on KSL Classifieds and found a great car for $3,900, but the sales tax rate in Utah is 6.85%. How much will the car cost? All right, it says round to the nearest penny if needed. Okay, great. So let's fill in the blanks to find the tax. All right, so what is the tax in this scenario? Okay, we're going to say tax is 6.85% of the total price, which was $3,900. So remember, these words that we're using to translate English into math, is going to become the equal sign, and of is going to indicate multiplication. So tax, I'm just going to call that T. You could call it X if you want, it's fine. It's our unknown, right? 6.85%. Now before I write my percent into the equation, I need to change it into a decimal. So let's take that decimal and move it 2 places to the left. Boom, boom. So it looks like there needs to be a 0 right here. So I'm going to do 0.0865 of 3,900. So it's going to multiply by 3,900. Okay, so as far as equations go, you don't have to worry about getting the variable by itself. It's already there. It's more about just plugging the right numbers into the calculator and using the right operations. Oops, sorry about the little shaky there. Okay, let's do this. So we've got 0.685. No, I said that wrong, and then I typed it wrong. 0.0685. Make sure we have that 0 after the decimal point there. Times 3,900. And that's going to give us $267.15. So the tax equals $267.15. Now, let's see, what was the question again? Okay, it says fill in the blanks to find the tax. All right, so this is the tax. Let's write it with a dollar sign and all that stuff. And I forgot my 1, but it goes there. Squeeze it in there. Okay, that's our tax. Let's look at the next question. What will the total cost be? Okay, so you have the price of the car plus you have the tax. Now we know what those two figures are, so let's just add them together. Looks like that car was $3,900 and the tax was $267.15. So you add those together, you get the total cost. Let's do that now. $3,900 plus $267.15. That's going to be $4,167 and 15 cents for your total cost. Okay, so for that total cost, just to recap, We had the original price of the car, and then we added the tax to that, and we got the total cost. Now in part C, it says, is there another way to find the total? Well, yeah, actually. So what we did here is we had the total cost of the car, which you could think of in terms of what percentage. The total cost of the car, like the whole thing, when we say a whole thing in terms of percentage, that's 100%. And then what was the tax rate? The tax rate was 6.85%. So you need the whole cost of the car, plus you need another 6.85%. So what if you just added those two things together, and that would give us 106.85%. What if you just added those together and used this when you're multiplying by 3,900? Let's see what happens then. So you would do 3,900 times, and remember we need to move that decimal point over, so it would be 1.0685. And what is that going to equal? Well, let's see if it equals that or not. Okay, 3,900 times 1.0685. And look at that. We do get the right number. So that is another way to get the same number. Okay, so you put a $sign in front of that, make it all official, and that's the total cost of the car. I'll show you that in some other examples also in case you find it useful. Sometimes it's easier to do it this way, but this is also a very reliable way that is really nice because it shows you the separate amounts. It shows you the amount of the tax, and it shows you the total, and it shows you the original amount. So both ways are good. You're not going to have to do it this way. It's just whatever kind of appeals to you, whatever seems more useful. Let's go on to example 2. It is nearly Valentine's Day, and Mike, who lives in Arizona, where the sales tax rate is 7.1%, wants to buy his girlfriend a necklace. He finds a necklace for $24.95. How much money will Mike need to buy the necklace? Okay, so let's see. What do we need to do? We need to figure out so the necklace price plus the tax is going to be the total, right? So just keeping that in mind. Okay. So first of all, let's find the tax. And remember, tax is, let's see, the tax rate, which is 7.1%. Okay, the tax is 7.1% of the price of the necklace, $24.95. Okay, so we're trying to find the tax, and we just wrote that the tax is 7.1% of that total price of $24.95. Now let's make it into an equation. So tax, I'll just write T, becomes our equal sign. 7.1%, what do we need to do with that? We need to move that decimal point, that's right. So we're going to do 0. Let's see, if we moved it 2 spaces, you need a 0 right here, right? So 071. So see how the decimal point moved exactly 2 places there? Always be careful with that, that's important. So tax is that, and then the of means multiply. I'm going to indicate multiplication with my parentheses here. 24.95, and there we go. Now we just have to do the math with our calculator. So 0.071 times 24.95, and that's going to give us this number. Let's round it to the nearest penny, so 1.77. There's a 1 there, so that doesn't round it up, it just stays at a 7. So tax equals 1.77, or $1.77. So to find the total price, remember we need the necklace plus the tax, so that'll be $24.95 plus 1.77, and that is going to equal, I'm using my calculator, looks like that's going to give us $26.72. For the total. Okay? Now, could we have used that alternate way to solve this way here? This option C? Yeah, we could have. So remember, we're just having to take the tax rate, or whatever the percentage is, that 7.1%, and you want to add another 100% to it. Let's go ahead and turn this into a decimal. So the 7.1% we're going to turn into a decimal. So the decimal place goes here. You need a 0 there. So 0.071 is how you would write that as a decimal. Now to add 100% to that, well, 100%, when you move that decimal over 1, 2, right here, 100% is just the same as the number 1, 1.00. So if I just add 1 to this, it's going to be 1.071. And this becomes that magical number that I can multiply by the original to figure out the total including tax. So let's do that. So I'm going to do $24.95 times 1.071, that number right there. And that should give me the total also. So let's just do that. 24.95 times 1.071. And that's going to give us that same total. We just have to round it. We just still round down to 72. So 2672. Okay, so you can do it this way where you compute it separately and add it together. Or you can do it this way where you figure out that percentage number to multiply it by and do it all kind of in one step. Whatever makes more sense to you. Let's look at example number 3. You went to your favorite restaurant for dinner with your family. This is a pre-COVID problem. Or, sometimes we can still go to our favorite restaurants. It just depends. Okay, when you're finished with the meal, the server brings the check in the amount of $57.46. You had great service, and your dad likes to give a generous tip of 22%. That is super nice. Your dad says he'll buy dessert. That says dessert. Oh my gosh. Okay, 2 S's in there, guys. Your dad says he'll buy dessert, which is probably going to mean dessert, if you can tell him how much he should tip and what the total should be. And then it says, is this problem any different than the previous examples? Well, he wants to know how much he should tip and then what the total should be. So he really wants the separate amounts. So I'm going to say let's use the original method rather than the kind of all-in-one method. Okay, so basically the tip, I'm going to write it as a sentence. The tip is 22% of the total, which was $57.46. All right, now let's put it into an equation form. So T equals, change that to a decimal, 0.22. Of is multiply, so we'll do our parentheses there, or you could write a dot if you'd rather. And then once you have that written out, you can just put in your calculator, 0.22 times 57.46, and that is going to equal $12. And look, there looks like there's a 1 there in the thousandths place, so we're just going to keep the 4 as is, not round it up, so $12.64. So the tip is going to equal $12.64. And the total is going to be this original amount, 57.46, plus that tip of $12.64, which will equal, let's figure that out, 57.46 plus 12.64, and that's going to give us 70.1. So 70.1, that's not usually how we write money. We would need another digit there for the cents, right? So you can just fill that with a 0. $70.10. Okie dokie, and if you ever want to double check, you could go back and do it the other way. It wouldn't work because you need the two numbers separately. For double checking though, it does work. So 57.46 times, oops, I just wrote times twice. Now instead of putting 0.22, I'm going to put 1.22, and look, it gives us the same number, 70.10. Perfect. All right, y'all go ahead and look at this next page. Okie dokie. Now these are kind of thought questions. There's going to be some estimating going on. How can you quickly estimate 10% of an amount in your head? Like what if you were saying 10% of 80? Well, to do 10%, you're going to move that decimal place one spot over, in this case, to the left. So move decimal one spot to the left. All right, so when you move that to the left, in this case, it's going to be an 8. And that's not just estimating, that is precise in that case. How can you quickly estimate 1% of an amount in your head? Okay, so instead of going one spot to the left, you're going to go 2 spaces to the left. So move decimal 2 spots to the left. Okay, so 1% of 80 would equal, let's see, move that 2 spaces, 0.8. Okay, that's getting messy. I'm so sorry, guys, but hopefully you can read it. How can you quickly estimate 5% of an amount in your head? Well, what you would want to do is estimate 10%, then take half of it. So estimate 10%, which as we know means moving the decimal spot 1 spot to the left, and then you just take half. And then how can you quickly estimate 15% of an amount in your head? Well, estimate 10%. Oh, whoops, I forgot to write that. There we go. Then estimate 5%, like we did here. And then add them together. And you might want to like round them. If you're getting like lots of long funny numbers, just round to the nearest most convenient thing and then add them together and you'll get a nice estimate. A lot of times you'll be in a store and you'll see like 15% off, so it can be really useful to know how much you're saving with that. Estimate 25% tip for a dinner check of this amount, $62.78. So 25% is 1/4 of 100, so you could just divide it by 4. I happen to know that 60 divided by 4 equals 15. That's just something I've memorized. You could think of a clock face. 15 minutes 4 times equals the full 60 minutes. But if you wanted to be more precise, you might do 10% plus 10% plus 5%. So let's try that right now. So 10% is 6.27 plus 6.27 plus half of that, which is going to be 3.1, let's say 3. Now these aren't great numbers to work with, so I'm just going to make this into 625 because that's a lot easier to add in my head. Plus 625 plus, let's just make it a nice even $3. So 625 plus 625 is going to be $12.50 plus $3 is $15.50. So we got a pretty close answer here and there. What if we got the exact answer with a calculator just to see how close we were getting for fun? We're going to multiply it by 0.25 and 15.70. So we were pretty close. We were only 20 cents off there. All right, that's all I got for you today. Thanks for watching. Oh, hold on a second. Let me look at your... Sorry about that. I almost forgot to talk about your assignment. I don't think there's anything too much new on here, but in each case, you're going to calculate the percentage. In this case, the tax, or over here, it might be the tip. So you're going to calculate the percentage by itself, and then you're going to add that original amount to what you just calculated for the total cost. So like here, you're going to do your 86 times 6% is going to equal the tax, okay? And then whatever you got for the tax, you'll add it to the original 86 for the total cost. I'm not really solving it for you there. I'm just kind of showing you how to set it up, and they'll all work the same way. It says round to the nearest penny for the tax. Here's the tip, round to the nearest penny. So we're using different words here. At the bottom, it says tip. At the top, it says tax. But the process is exactly the same. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.